Consensus meeting agenda. Oh no, we're making a motion for the approve the minutes for the regular meeting on April 23rd. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'll make a motion for a non-public meeting on April 23rd for 1 and 2.
Motion made and seconded. Anything further? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
To make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Second.
The large consent agenda.
Smallest I've ever seen.
Mixing it up.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Anything further? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Public input. We'll have another opportunity at the end. Anybody online, Garrett? Thank you. Nominations.
I'll make the motion that we reappoint Larry Proto to the Capital Improvement Program Committee. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Make the motion that we reappoint Kathy Bergstrom to the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'll make the motion to reappoint Anna Maynard as an alternate.
To the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Yep. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Appointments. DPW Director Joe DeRusso. We're gonna start with paving. What's your preference?
Not too bad, yourself. So our annual paving contract went out. All states, as always, they were the low bidder on it, so we're recommending going with them. Gonna start work shortly. We put a clause in this year that the work had to be completed by October 31st. All states like saving us till last because their plants close by, so the mix stays warm. Here. Skip back. You want to verify or confirm the roads that we're planning on doing? I had the list from the CIP. I think it's accurate. I had Talbot, Taft, Aldridge, Safford, and Oliver Hill.
Yes, and then the addition of the Cobble Hill work, the hill, the paving of the hill on Cobble Hill, the gravel section.
That's in the 377.
Yes, that is included in that, and then our gravel portion, the class 5 portion of Oliver Hill Road will be extended and paved, so there'll be no longer that short strip of gravel road on Oliver Hill.
Nice.
Currently working with Cold River because they use the section of Oliver Hill Road behind the airport. Mike and I have tried already with them as far as doing a property swap, it just makes sense for them, it makes sense for us. But every time we bring it to them, they're all on board with it and they never follow through. So the plan is still hopefully, so a lot of people don't realize that road behind the airport, that Cold River runs their loaders and stock material on that is the town road. The road that comes straight in, that the majority of the traffic we use off of 32 is actually Cold River's private road. So it just makes so much sense for them to fence that off, block off the road behind the post office. That would be their private road, and then the road continues straight down. But we need to get that on the ballot, and it said we've gone from, I know former directors have, but we remember them recently, they were all on board. They followed through. But I recently, with the paving, I've asked them to provide either some funds or some asphalt for paving that road, and they told them good conscious, I can't go making road improvements and running heavy equipment and loaders on it, so hopefully that'll come through and lower the cost a little bit, allow us to pay something else.
You got no number from the years, you just tell them that we like that little.
Talk to them about that, and their response was, well, how about we provide asphalt? I said, perfect, and then they need to talk, yeah, they need to talk to the powers that be and get back to us, so I need to stay on top of Gary, so there has been some communications. Sounds like they're open to it. If they're not open to it, I plan on doing some patchwork there, but not completely restoring the road if they're running heavy equipment on. But hopefully this can be a springboard to get that switch to go through the problems that they go through. It makes sense. I can't remember, I potentially lead to a couple of other buildable house lots, I think. Because there's some land right off on the side of Cold River, which is private road that you have no access to.
Hmm.
Which makes sense on all levels.
I'm not sure on all the roads, but you mentioned gravel roads, and we're gonna do some of the gravel part of the roads that we grade every year now. Are we eliminating some of the grading work now?
We're trying to, the roads that are, for example, that Oliver Hill Road is a real short section of road. It's difficult to grade because you just don't have the room. Again, it's the hill, so it's prone to washing. So that one is one that's being eliminated this year by being paved, and then there's a very short section of Aldridge Road. It's 15 feet wide, at its widest point, there are 3 houses on it, it's approximately, I can't remember the exact number, it's approximately 1,200 feet long at that, and it is problematic to plow, it's problematic to grade, so we're.
It's gonna save us money in the long run by doing this.
Yes,
You don't have to maintain these gravel roads.
yes and no, and then it leads to other maintenance down the road as well, so you're out within 10 years, the asphalt road needs some type of maintenance. A road like that's not gonna see heavy trucks, it's not gonna really have a lot of traffic on, so you may get some more out of it, but I think it definitely cuts down on the problematic erosion and maintenance. I've never looked at the total cost in grading versus how long you have to replace the road. But those short ones that are problematic, I'm in favor of pavement.
No, all I always get to is hope someday we don't have graded roads and we don't have to have that big expensive grader.
We use it for ditching. Because it's able to travel on the road and reach in with the blade.
Oh, okay.
Pull stuff out and then load it up with a loader.
But they use it probably.
We do, but it'd be something that, we could look at rentals for. If we let just that. The other thing, we don't get the winters like we used to, but let's see if it's cyclical. When you get real bad ice and heavy snowpack, the grade is about the only thing that can scrape up the heavy ice and snow when it's real cold. We haven't seen a winter like that in years.
Have you considered or taken a look at extending Oliver Hill Road to complete it out to Workman Heights?
I have not.
Is it anything worth considering?
I think the potential is there.
You know, off the top of your head, how far?
I don't have, I can
It's
give
a
you
pretty,
that.
it's a pretty good stretch.
You mentioned house lots, there was,
Yeah, a lot of land up there. I know there has been talk, I know a cell company was doing something with a cell tower and they're looking for access up there. I've never walked it, so I don't know really what the land is like up there, but.
The class 6 portion is better than the class 5 dirt portion anyway. Those people put a lot of money into that road
Yeah,
and then it washed out.
it washed out in 2021. I felt bad for the one that was up in top of us, spent close to $20,000 the year before. And then those 21 floods, it was devastating. People and trying to put private property was. But I think that would be fairly easy to upgrade that section of road.
The big issue might be on the Route 12 side where there's a lot of water. So, there's a pond, so. Care to make a motion on that paving?
Sure, I'll make a motion as drafted here.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to authorize the expenditure up to $377,800 for the 2024 road improvement project with $30,000 from the John Flatley Company and remaining funds from the 2024 asphalt budget and FEMA funds. And authorize the town administrator to sign contract documents with all state asphalts or else state construction. All in favor, say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it. Thank you. Denman Thompson Bridge.
Yes, big one. As you know, I've been working with a couple of contractors and the engineer, as far as the maintenance that's needed to that bridge. So I have a full Cold River Bridge. They are able to get the joint, and they can have it done this year between July and August. Hanson Bridge was the other bridge company that we've used them before, and working with them. I've got somewhat of an informal quote from them, but they can't get the joint and they can't give me a price on how much the joint is. Initially, they provided a price of approximately $265,000, but just recently said they wouldn't be able to get to it this year, and they said it could be an additional $30,000 to $75,000 for the joint using a different company. As the engineer explained to me, it's not apparent. Really put it out for a formal bid, you need engineering. And the engineer told me there's no reason to do that. He highly recommended Cold River Bridges. Specialize, they do a lot of work for the state of New Hampshire. They do a lot of work for Vermont, state of New Hampshire. I talked to them about that and they said they would definitely give you a decent product. So they are able to do that. You can see the formal quote they provided. The sum for the decking, the membrane is $155,000, $177. The only thing they won't know if it needs concrete work until they get the asphalt and membrane. If there's concrete work that needs to be repaired, there's gonna be an additional cost to it, but there's no way to tell until they strip the asphalt and inspect that concrete. But their plan is if they were awarded this contract, they would move right in as soon as the school shuts down and start working on the decking portion, and they would have it prepped for the joint. The joint would come sometime in August, and they see no issue with getting the work completed before the school opens back up. And you'll see the second cost of $133,944,000 for the joint setup. That's the installment and the cost of that expansion bill. As far as preparation for it, talked with the fire department, they decided that they didn't feel comfortable leaving fire trucks outside at night. During the daytime, they would stage some fire trucks on the other side of the river, but they're more than comfortable that they, through mutual aid, have adequate responses, and they didn't see a need to risk equipment out at night. I've spoken with the campground, they're okay with it, they understand it needs to be done, and they realize there are other ways to get into the campground. DOT's on board with it, and I recommend we move forward with all of the bridges this year. We'll start passing into the public sooner than later, once we know this is going to happen. Like I said, this is not a question if this work needs to be done. It needs to be done sooner than later. We could hold off a little bit, but when we have the funds for it now, the Cold River is available to do it. I recommend forward.
Best case, if there's no concrete work necessary, how long will it be totally shut down?
Minimum, if everything went perfect, he thinks he could be done in 6 weeks. He thinks August he could have the joint. He's gonna order the joint this week if we decide to move forward, maybe get it a little sooner. But he thought around 6 weeks. He figured if we had the joint the first week of August, we could have it back open at the end of the second week of August.
Great.
And like I discussed before, if we wanted to do one-way traffic and do a half of
Right.
the bridge companies tell you double the cost. I know it's an inconvenience, but I can't see doubling the cost.
It helps that we don't have the money for double costs.
That's a good point too.
I'll make that motion that we, I'll make the motion that we do this or that.
Motion made and seconded to authorize the expenditure of up to $310,000 for Denman Thompson Bridge Maintenance Project with $71,768.38 from House Bill 2, $238,231.62 from the Town Bridges Capital Reserve Fund, and authorize the town administrator to enter into contract documents with Cold River Bridges LLC. Anything further?
Just one thing, I just wanted to mention, we talked about a little bit, I think the last time you were here, but there is the risk, depending on what we find, would be.
Right.
Yeah,
Where's that money coming from?
hopefully it's within this additional, we got about $80,000.
Okay.
How much damage could be done? Do we know that?
The only concern I have is back when we paid them and Thompson with the South Winchester project, we weren't ready to move forward with the bridge. And I had the paving company mill it and put a fresh thin top coat on it to protect it, especially protecting it from the salt and everything getting down into the concrete and steel. And there's 2 spots where water's coming, and I don't know how it's getting in between somewhere. I don't know if the concrete's sweating. It's hard to say. Underneath, it looks pretty decent. We've inspected underneath. But there's 2 areas that I say to myself, water, like shortly after it was paved, potholes formed. And if you drive across them, you can see as you're heading towards Route 10, on the right side of the bridge, about halfway down, you see a pothole and water comes in. But that's my only concern. But when both bridge companies looked at it, they said the concrete looked pretty good from below. They actually, once they get the asphalt off, they literally take a chain, they can drag a chain and they can feel hollow, just broken and stuff underneath. I think that's essentially what the the task force for. But like I said, these guys, that's all they do, they specialize in that. If there's no concrete that needs to be done, they simply put the membrane on and move forward. If the concrete is weak, they either jackhammer it out, get it deep enough where they can get into the rebar and they form up areas to catch concrete, so. I think even if we do have to do some concrete work, we won't see anything, shouldn't be too substantial.
Right.
Not trying to sidetrack, I just wanna make sure. that-
No, that's fine. All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Okay. Crescent Bridge decking and damage repair. I guess he hit the bridge, so,
And the bridge got hit again recently.
yeah,
Right in the face,
and they caught him.
yes. I was encouraging his conduct after an accident.
Oh, the guy recently just happened, I saw.
This is the Swan side, well, the town side of it, that's recent, the other side of it's old.
Oh, I figured the same, hit the front,
No.
took off the back.
It's been hit probably in the last 9 months, probably hit 5 times.
No, he didn't go all the way through though.
No,
He
yeah.
just stopped when he
Yeah.
hit, yeah.
I don't know, have you heard the, like, it was told to laugh in the report, but.
No, Facebook police said
It's got,
he was talking to the police, so
but I think that maybe at the bridge,
I don't know.
yeah, I didn't hear, like I said, her,
Yeah.
but regardless. It's been, I know I get criticized sometimes, because when it gets hit, I don't run right out, and stop what we're doing to fix it,
Right.
and I really don't, because it gets hit on such a regular basis. And
So as I was looking at the face of it, that's just kind of just the thin boards that they lay off. But in the main big carrying beams that are on top, they're higher than that face.
Yeah, structurally,
So sometimes they can hit that face and make it through, and then they hit on the other end. Because when I stopped to look at it all over the other day, I realized that that face comes down lower than
Yeah.
our main beam.
and as they're leaving, sometimes when they turn to the right, they get over enough where they catch the corner.
So why do we have that face so far down? Is that to protect the main
I
beam?
think it's the way it was designed.
Just the way it was designed?
Yeah.
Because the face drops down quite a bit, though, other than the main beams at the bottom. You know, that's a big difference.
So we literally have people drive up, they know what they're doing wrong, they get out, they look and see, and like, okay, I think I can make it across, it's crazy, and I mean, like, road signs about the bridge is not gonna stop, not. I can stop, we can put a big I beam in front of it, about 20
That's right.
20 feet in front of it, and then like you see somewhere it stops, and, but it obviously would not be very. Aesthetically looking.
But what about, is that box trucks that are doing this? They're box trucks?
You've got box trucks, you have fifth wheel campers.
Oh, fifth wheel campers.
They get, I mean.
Nothing in tow. I mean, nothing in tow is allowed through, so.
Nothing in tow is
Right,
allowed.
we had a tree spade take out the Carlton Road Bridge one time. You know, with a tree, I guess.
It was eye opening to me when we were lengthening the sidewalk project, where I spent a lot of time down at work and just to see the craziness. Like I said, people pull up, get out, and look, and they're like, make it across.
They hit it. I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't just try to nudge up to it, then look, you know, let's get close and see if I'm gonna make it. They just hit it.
Something about, right, jinx myself, something about that one, much worse than the.
Than the rest?
Yeah,
But is that the one we're putting cameras on?
like to put cameras on all of them with the law passes.
Okay. Oh, we have, I thought that did pass.
Working its way through.
I think it's in the Senate.
Alan from IT is looking at camera options for this.
What is the argument about cameras and why you can't have them? Well, privacy?
Yeah.
For somebody.
That's why state of New Hampshire doesn't have plate readers. Their, the law does not allow for the hold any of the data, like a lot of states capture registration information and keep the data for like 30 days or so, New Hampshire won't allow it, so kind of, it's plate readers essentially.
I guess, huh? No, because I was pulled up, my father, that's when I was driving his car and something happened, and I was pulled up by a state trooper, and I was, someone asked, and I'm like, how did you even know? And he said, read the plate, I'm like, you don't have that in here. Like, you can't tell if a state trooper is in town, like if someone was caught for drinking and driving, and they were, and the car was going down the road, you can read that, right? That you know he's an offender?
I could run the plate on the car if I have articulable suspicion from the cruiser, but as far as any devices that just automatically.
No,
track
I
it.
understand.
For example, if we have, there have been times for a homicide suspect, and we think the person's driving down 91 south, we'll contact Mass State Police, they'll put a cruiser on the side of the road to do nothing but just sit there and read plates. That automatically does it, and it puts up an alert and catches that plate.
Interesting.
So that bridge needs decking of a different type, wood. And it's, if you drive across, or you stop and sit out and look, you watch the boards coming up, they're routinely
Yeah,
popping up.
that's,
I am no woodwork expert, so I went to Hanson Bridge again, looked at this. GDS Landmark Group, Grayson Smith looked at it. They're white oak planks. White oak is extremely expensive. The approximately 2,650 square feet of white oak needed to do the decking on the bridge. And it ranges anywhere from 30,000 to 80,000, depending on the quality of the white oak. I received our estimate from GDS Landmark for him to do the work at $47,620. The lumber's, the material itself is somewhere in the $30,000 range. The reason why I had Grayson give me an estimate to do all the work is it needs to be done sooner than later. The crew has done this type of work in the past, but they're gonna be much slower than having a contractor come in, and we wouldn't be able to get to it until probably late out after paving season. And the other thing I was considering is the cost of the material, how expensive it is as far as waste and such. I think it made sense just to move forward with a contractor. Hanson Bridge gave me an estimate, they gave me two estimates, nothing formal, it was just via phone. They were in the $48,000 range. Then they also had one option that they were recommending $80,000 with a higher end oak. I couldn't see doing that. And then figured while the bridge was shut down, we would have Grayson make the repairs to it while he was there. Once again, in preparation for this, I talked to DOT. This would we would do this before Denman Thompson is shut down, so we don't have two major bridges shut down at the same time. Grayson's confident he can get to this in June. He can get to it as soon as he can get the lumber. If he's worth of work, the bridge would be shut down during the day, opened up at night. The other thing I need to look at while we have it shut down, there are two large pine trees on the town side of the bridge that are leaning toward the bridge. It would be a perfect time to take down those pine trees so they don't come down on top of the bridge. I think DOT's completely on board with it. I just need to check with the property owner there. I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue, but that would be the ideal time to have those trees removed. That money would just come from the operational budget for tree removal from DPW. So like I said, I'm not saying we couldn't do it with the highway crew, but it would be much later in the year. The bridge would likely be shut down for more time. And as you drive, you can go down there and watch right now, the boards are popping up on it. It needs to be done.
that all original? Have we ever done this before?
No, I don't
Have
think
we ever done any decking before?
Yes, the one down here to the deck,
And that's a different company than we're using now?
this one down here was the one that the DPW crew did. And then Hanson Bridge, when he was looking at that bridge, he says he has done work to it. He did a full inspection of it when he was looking at the deck, and he said everything looks great, it just need to replace the old boards. The other bridges, the decking are in better, lot better condition. Sooner or later, this one is probably gonna be the likely next one that needs to be.
So what is the lifespan of these deckings? 10 years, 15,
I think more than that, even more in the 20s.
20s? Oh, so we'll get good 20 years out of this one. Make that motion that was read.
I'll second. Motion made and seconded to authorize the expenditure of up to $50,000 for the Crescent Bridge redecking and repairs from the Town Covered Bridges Capital Reserve Fund, and authorize the town administrator to enter into contract documents with GDS Landmark Group. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. You're recused. Moonshot.
Okay, man.
I gave you a copy of that, right?
Yes.
Go back to back,
What's that?
whisper, razor thin margin.
Yeah.
It was close.
They are the one thing with, Foil Tanner is they made clear that their schedule, it would be at the end of the year before they can get to it. The other positive with Underwood Engineers, they've already done a planning study for it for the sewer commission. There wasn't much action on what what their initial study was, so they jump in off of that, build off of that, move forward. The time I've worked with Steve Clifton, very, very helpful doing stuff about charging us. I've been working on this pilot program in the transition for the sewer commission, so he has been very helpful. But I don't think it's realistic to consider Portland Canyon just due to the fact of their availability. They made it clear that it was be something at the end of the year.
Yeah, and the other benefit to Underwood is their work on the water company, where they, you know, they're looking at the utilities, so I think it makes sense to keep those functions together. So it's making an RFQ qualification based selection, so the expectation is it'll be up to the $100,000 forgivable loans. We would just be looking for the board to authorize the award and negotiation, which kind of know how that's gonna go, but.
I gotta say, I'm a little lost on this one. I'm not understanding the whole thing.
They're recommending Underwood engineers for the
For what?
engineering
Oh,
of the sewer plant.
oh,
For the grant that was important.
okay.
For the wastewater facility, remember to
I
look
get
at
it.
possible
I get it.
improvements
Okay,
at,
I'm sorry.
Two things they're gonna look
I
at.
just wanna make sure when I'm making a motion for that, I understand it.
They're gonna look at, we discussed, they're gonna look at a couple, they're gonna look at the big concern right now with the sewer plant is not being able to treat it in phosphorus. There's approximately 80,000 gallons per day that they treat phosphorus anymore. The plant is able to take approximately another 40,000 gallons of flow, but you can't treat the phosphorus, so that's the number one short term issue. How we're gonna fix that, resolve that issue without creating other issues, because often when they use something like this pack, it creates aluminum, and then it makes it so they go over in another.
We're right up here on that.
So there's no, we can't take anybody else off.
I remember you explaining that to me.
That will be the number one priority, then it's gonna be to look at an update to the plan, what it's gonna need. The engineers, when you're doing this type of planning, where are you gonna be at in 20 years? What your goal is gonna be, and then we had those discussions today, so you see some of these communities spending $20–30 million on these sewer plants. Then you have to look at, is it part of this planning study will be, is it more feasible just to simply pipe it into the Keene, Keene facility, which we already own a large volume of flow. Right now, Keene can take West Swanzey and West Swanzey, still, we can still provide more.
When we did that, when we do away with the zones over there, we do away with that, we're just, other becomes town.
Yeah, everything would go that way.
Well,
So it costs approximately, today's cost approximately $10 million to do just sewer across there, but if you were gonna tear up a road, you might as well run water line while you're doing it, if that's gonna be the goal of town. Road would likely be the road to go on, but, like I said, without water, I don't know, it's the water, but just to do sewer alone, then there's no more stuff for the cost of the capital improvement stuff, you could easily say with Milford.
I was trying to remember, I think it was Milford and Epping, they were talking about $20+ million upgrades.
Hmm.
So.
Hopefully this plan study will come forward with some realistic expectations. Part of the study can be used, Steve Clifton wanted to explain today. Part of the money from this grant study can be used to try some different chemicals, additional testing to see if there's a way they can treat this path in a different manner. But obviously a good portion of needs to be spread out. So
need your motion to.
If you want for Underwood. There's a motion to select Underwood engineers to perform the wastewater treatment plant facility study, authorize the expenditure of up to $100,000 from the 2024 warrant article number 6, and authorize the town administrator to enter into contract documents and submit related loan documents. All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Anything else?
Want to stay for the fire pond since you discussed that with.
yeah.
Going right into new business, request expenditure Aerocrest Fire Pond Hydrant.
So much of the work, including the culvert under Aerocrest Drive, was replaced last year using FEMA funds after the first July flooding before the big one on July 9. So we had 50,000 in the capital improvement plan. Fortunately, we're only gonna need to use just over 15,000. Basically, the only expenses for the actual dry hydrant. So Joe reviewed that with Gordon Services. Our idea with Charlie Johnson at Du Bois and King was to put, basically to lump it together with Upper Wilson Pond Dam. We didn't include it in the bid, but the idea was to use the same vendor. So he's Joe met with them, and that's where we got the quote that's listed in here.
Yeah, they would likely move, they're waiting on, for the Upper Wilson Pond Dam, they're just waiting on their stamp of approval from DES. Start that work, they would likely move in sooner than later, it's a pretty quick project. They're gonna use some of the equipment they have for copper dam and so forth, that they're gonna use in the water.
Yeah.
Do the same over there, fire pond.
Did I see what the fire pond is? Did you show me that? I don't. Is it on the other side of the road, the dam? Is it-
Past Twinkle Town?
It's nowhere near that.
Oh, somewhere, so I haven't even, I'm not. familiar with
Wasn't
this.
on one of our tours, I don't think. Yeah, right past.
You got a lobster roll.
Yeah.
He canceled.
We shorted you.
He canceled the trip this week, so don't
So
look at me.
what did we do? We're putting a pipe in under the fire pond? Is that what?
Into the fire pond, so the fire.
Is it one there or this? No.
No.
Oh, so we're gonna just, okay.
Last year, the floods wiped the road out, FEMA paid to replace the culvert and, fix the road. And now, as you turn into Aerocrest, Twinkle Town on your right, you go up the waters on the left. There's gonna be a dry hydrant, an area beside across the pond.
We did go there, I think.
I think we might have gone through.
We did go there. There was, I remember the water now. Okay. I'm just trying to picture it in my, I remember your ice cream.
He's a Seaports man.
Right. I'll make that motion that we.
Okay. Okay, motion made and seconded to authorize the expenditure of up to $17,000 for the Aerocrest Fire Pond project from the Fire Pond Expendable Trust Fund, and authorize the town administrator to sign contract documents with Gordon Services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it.
The only thing I have for updates right now, we're working with contractors, our annual springtime, the catch basin truck in town this week, and now catch basins. Street sweepers have been coming in when they're available to clean up road sand areas. We have almost every dirt road graded at this point. We're out working on some culvert replacement. And as soon as we get everything graded, a couple of problematic culverts replaced, the plan is to start working up on Call Hill on that wide and prepare for the paving.
Oh, you do all the prep up on top of that? Yeah. Did I tell you, there's quite a bit of money, right?
Yes, and that's part of the reason not able to get to some of the other stuff. Like I said, we would like to take on the bridge and full late fall.
And that's what, bringing material up, widening, doing the edges.
Tying trees, drainage pipes, and some of these roads we need to go in and take a closer look. Because I know we gotta change the pipe on Oliver Hill Road before the paving company comes in. So before they go on paving, we wanna make sure if they have any problem, culverts and shit. So,
Nice.
a lot going on.
East Shore looked good. I was out there. Seemed to weather the winter pretty well.
Yeah, held up pretty well, all the gravel that went in after the floods, and today we changed out an old crushed buried culvert on West Shore, kind of helped with some of the problem areas we've had over there, and some of the complaints, as far as water discharge, one of the fixes that, and hopefully alleviate some of those concerns.
The light pole, I'm calling it a light pole, that rotted and fell over on Cold Rivers Road by neighbor's store. Is the airport responsible for that, do you think? It's been down for a couple of years, I think.
I haven't seen it. Is it something to do with the airport?
Yeah. It's just a big telephone pole with a red light on top. And it rotted and fell over, and it's just been sitting there, I think. It's not our road, but somebody ought to be taking it out.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Which one? So,
Yeah,
and it actually brought it.
oh, yeah.
That's gotta be done.
I'll bring the king's attention and see if there is something.
Thank you. You want anything to do with Route 32? You're gonna give that for DOT.
Next part.
Yeah, Martin Brook.
Down.
Part of the bridge project.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting with fire department and DOT and Du Bois and King last week or the week before, I think. So basically, if we lump it in with their project, we just need to do the engineering and provide
Nice.
the costs for that, so. We're looking for up to $6,000 from the Fire Pond Expendable Trust Fund to authorize Charlie to work on the engineering for that one.
Sounds good.
So this is over by Route 32 by like Blake Road. Kind of goes down the gully. There's a bridge down there. So they're gonna look at realigning the road a little bit, placing the bridge, and we're gonna try to put it out
Some
on the fire
engineer
pond
money to get it, to look at it, so we could.
for the fire pond.
Yeah, the big thing with the engineering is DES is wetlands. Restriction was so difficult, we need an engineer and as needed, we need to put the hydro study in and so forth, to get the approval to do the work itself. Is a fraction, that's all wetland it goes into it.
But because we're kind of piggybacking off their project, hopefully we can get incorporated in their wetlands permits. We don't do our own separate.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Motion made and seconded to authorize the expenditure up to $6,000 for the Martin Brook Dry Hydrant Project from the Fire Ponds Expendable Trust Fund and authorize the town administrator to sign contract documents with Du Bois and King. All in favor, say aye. Aye, and the ayes have it.
What surprising with that idea?
Well, Joe, good job. Thank you. And you're addressing for the people complaining about the water level, so you created a policy that Fish and Game and DES were consulted. Fish and Game doesn't quite like how much we draw it down, but as far as the dates go, DES and Fish and Game are part
Well,
of
that's
it.
my answer,
And
this
it's
could,
done all over the state.
that's great, because now I can say, you know, Fish and Game was involved there, you know, because. I don't know, I don't know where geese are laying eggs out there anyways, it must be, she's claiming in that marsh area in the back pond over there, and.
That's his house.
They should talk to the president of the Western Pond Association.
Oh, they weren't floating.
I haven't seen any geese down there. I've seen them on
So all
other.
you got is a half a board left and that's done.
Yeah.
And when you drop that,
Probably tomorrow. I'm gonna see what it's doing. Just gonna make sure it doesn't get up too high. Something's off this year. It's not coming back up. It's like it usually does. We had less boards than last year. The water level was higher.
yeah.
Well, there's not much,
Even though the-
go ahead. There's not much water coming over the upper Wilson Pond Dam
No,
either,
not
so.
much. Well, I'm gonna check the diversion dam and see if it's not plugged tomorrow, but they're not flowing out hardly any water, even like 35 cubic feet per second.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're as high as, in the spring, they're as high as 300-400.
I saw that too, yeah.
they feel that it's not gonna affect the height when we work on the dam up
No,
above.
they're gonna be pumping water over when they dam it up, so there's still gonna be water coming over, but there are times shortly after spring that there's no water. No water. Except you do get some water from some of the other area that doesn't come down from the upper spring.
Yeah. Thanks for getting the part.
You're welcome. Have a good
Okay,
night.
so nice job, Joe.
Thanks.
All right, Police Department Incentive Program Update.
So I knew it had been a while. I knew it was when Tom DeAngelis was here, but I was surprised that it was almost 6 years to the month ago that we initially adopted this, so. Lots changed since then, so. We've been fortunate that I guess we haven't really had to look at it, but. The chief and I reviewed the current incentive policy and developed the recommendations that you see in the list. The $10,000 hiring incentive is comparable to Keene and other agencies we found. Places like Lebanon are offering 30,000, so. There's a pretty lengthy article in there, which I scanned and sent to you. I didn't want to put it in the packet because I thought their click police might not be happy to see us putting it on their website, but just a lengthy thing about the whole recruitment issue, which I know you're all familiar with. So in addition to updating some of that, we added some additional incentives for our existing officers if they, if they're able to recruit someone and they succeed. Helping them share in some of the benefit a little bit, so I think that might be a nice touch, so. We also added in, the incentives were a little unclear on how part-timers were treated, so we made that a little more clear. And we added an incentive for uncertified, because even that's hard to come by now, so. In terms of cost implications, for better or worse, usually if, we're gonna be handing out an incentive, it's because we have a vacant position, so it can be absorbed within. We pay out a lot of them in 1 year, it might be a little tight on the budget, but I think it's something we can,
How long for the 10,000?
3-year contracts.
CIPC wanna open up an account for incentive program, start banking some money.
I'll let you tell Steve, you're thinking about another account. The trustee, the CIP might be okay with it, but the trustees and trust funds will throw a binder at someone.
Well, we ever looked at it in 6 years, it's due that we did. And we're in trouble with the police department, we gotta do something. So, to get people to sign up.
You like
Make
it?
a motion to accept it.
Motion made to approve the police department incentive program as proposed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nays? Okay. The ayes have it. Job description update, assessing coordinator. How long ago was that updated?
8 years, 7, 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah.
So usually we do them, as you know, when people leave. Fortunately, that's not the case this time. But we are trying to just work progressively, do 1 or 2 a month, so you'll probably be seeing more of them. So we're just trying to kind of more accurately align some of the duties that were listed in here have been absorbed by other staff, and then some things that this position I think makes sense to be involved with, weren't reflected. So Christine's been helping out with grants and some kind of basic technology stuff in the office. So I think it's good to have a designated person. When Julius was the land use coordinator, he was kind of the point person for initial issues and kind of going back and forth with the IT company. It avoids town clerk calls and then she says something to me and then I call and then we have 3 people calling about the same thing. That doesn't help it get fixed. So I think it's helpful to kind of have one point person. So that's just a little bit of the kind of background on where this came from.
Make a motion for that. I'll make that one second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the assessing coordinator job description as proposed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Old business. Are we getting an open house yet?
Yeah, it's got, I hope it's this month. This month, I said.
I have a Blackstone grill if he needs
Oh,
it,
there you go.
36-inch,
Will you do the cooking or?
if he wants, if I'm available.
I just bought one of those,
The way to go.
never tried it, it's brand new, sitting on my dock, Steve Walsh from Davis Oil. Went and auctioned it off, and the person that didn't want it, came to me and I bought it from him. I
Nice,
hope it works good,
works great.
it does, it's a flat top, 36
Yeah.
inch,
Just don't use soap on it.
don't use soap.
It's cast iron.
Is it cast?
Well, it's not cast, but it's thick steel.
Is it coated?
Nope.
No. So you can use a grill screen on it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Got anything for us? We're just talking grills.
This time, hey, that's.
Yeah, we didn't even change the subject.
All right. Any other non-public sessions? Or, I'm sorry, non-public, any other public input? Nothing. Non-public sessions? Two.
Coming and joining us.
You want to do A first?
Yes.
Thank you, Mark, thank you, James.
Would you like to go in non-public under A, Jimmy?
I'll move to under A.
Yeah.
So make the motion.
Karazinski.
Aye.
Walker. Tempesta.
Zoning board meeting.
Aye.
No. We do this for